Welcome to Vuk Talks, the show that speaks to education, health, entrepreneurship, and so much more.
Hi, South Africa, and compliments for the new year. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of Vuk Talks. This is January, and I'm sure all of us we are up and ready, and we also have our new year goals and all those resolutions that we normally do. Today with me, I have Mr. Thabo Lephoto from Stream Clinic. Good day, Mr. Thabo. How are you?
I am good, thanks, and how are you?
I'm also fine. I'm so excited to be with you today, and I have lots and lots of questions to ask you.
Yeah.
Yes, and first of all, can you kindly introduce yourself so that us South Africans can get to know you and what you do, and also what Stream Clinic is all about?
Okay. So my name is Thabo Lephoto. I am a clinical psychologist in private practice. I have been with Stream for the past year now. And what Stream does is that it is a wellness clinic where people, patients, clients, however you want to name it, come there whenever they are struggling with mental health related illnesses, right? So you feel overwhelmed, you feel burnt out, you feel anxious, you feel depressed, and you now seek medical attention, especially for your mental health. That's where now you come in at, or rather that's when you start, you go to Stream with a very seamless process of you see your psychologist, you see your psychiatrist, they give you a referral letter, and then you get there. When you get there, you are going to be met by good staff members, from nurses to psychiatrists to psychologists. And what we do there is that we give a specialized service where you are going to be seen by a psychiatrist, right? Psychiatrists will give you your medication. They'll do an assessment to see what is happening, what is causing you to feel the way that you are feeling. And there's going to be an assessment that we do, right? And then you have a psychologist as well that is going to do the same thing. Then from that point on, the team will look at who else are you going to see that is going to benefit you, from occupational therapists to social workers. Those are the people that you are going to, in most cases, be working with when you are admitted at Stream. It's a nice place. I think whenever I'm there, I feel like it's one of those places that when you find yourself having, because life unfortunately is going to rock you, and when life starts rocking you, Stream is one of the bestest places where you can catch a breather and have specialized care with people that are going to have your best interest at heart. Yeah.
And it's quite sad. I'm glad that we are talking about this. It's quite sad that mental health has been stigmatized so much in our country, especially when it comes to young people. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that's the case?
One of the things that we see as healthcare practitioners is that we still don't have enough information when it comes to mental health related, illnesses. There's still a lot of misinformation that is also there. And because of those things, and because of how we don't know much, we then start to come up with all these terms, ways, things to fill up the gaps with all the things that we don't know. And beyond that as well, growing up in environments where we also don't see a lot of psychologists, we are not familiarized with them, that makes it quite difficult to understand what work is done by psychologists and psychiatrists, because we're not used to seeing them. And therefore, because of such things, we are bound to have stigma within the frame of mental illnesses.
And hence, many people end up feeling not comfortable to come out when they have a mental illness. They'll feel like they'll be judged, especially in our African culture. Then it might be spiritualized. One might say that maybe this person has, you know what I'm talking about, maglosi or whatever. Yeah, hence people end up not opening about it because once people know that someone has a mental illness, after that they're no longer treated the same, based on my observation. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Again, it's we are always going to come up with certain certain ways of defining whatever it is that is happening with this person, and we're always going to look for explanations that are going to remove the anxiety. If we are going to say you are behaving the way that you're behaving because there is no ceremony that was performed for you by the family, right? You did not have what you call it, imbeleko in isiZulu, you know, and therefore
What does that mean? Sorry.
it's sort of
My
like
Zulu is a bit.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that means you're going to have a ceremony where you are introduced to your family's ancestors, especially the father's ancestors, right? So if that was not performed, then when you start being sick, falling sick, whether physically or mentally, then they attach an explanation of you never had that ceremony being performed for you. And therefore, that is why you are not well. All right. And then the first point of contact that we're going to take you is a traditional healer, all right, who's going to further give that definition or that explanation and say, well, there isn't this that was done. And not to take away our cultures and also the role that they've played in us being who we are as South Africans. But because we did not have these models within our environments, we are always going to go to the ones which have offered assistance, help for as long as we remember. But also beyond that, when there are those now who are diagnosed with a particular illness, in most cases, our families start to mock us with those particular terms. You'll hear families saying, no, don't scam near the activities or chores. Wamutseba depressed, you know, and unfortunately, that deepens the stigma, because what the person is hearing is, if I share what has been happening with me, it's going to be looked as, you know, it's going to be made a mockery out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to share.
And just to get to the spiritual aspect of it, it means that when people, I mean, especially when it comes to our African culture, where they end up taking someone to a sangoma, whereas it's a mental illness, it ends up prolonging the treatment that a person is supposed to have, because now something that is supposed to be a mental or a clinical problem now is being spiritualized, whereas that's not the case.
Yeah. Again, we are often going to seek better explanations that are also going to make us feel less anxious. Right, and when we go to a sangoma, when we are going to a traditional healer, when we go to a pastor, it's because we are seeking someone who is going to make us feel less anxious. But beyond that, we are seeking someone who's going to say it's going to be okay. Right, we are growing in environments, especially in townships, where we're also not exposed to any psychologist, and it becomes a thing of, then who do we go to? Right, then we're going to look at these places that are around us, the church. We're also going to go to a traditional healer because there's one that we know of around the corner, right? And in other cases, we're going to go to, Shebins, because we know there's that place, right, where it sells, alcohol, and that's our outlet as well. So we're often going to go into those places seeking the kind of help that we need. And for families, like I said, it's your sangoma, it's your pastor. Then they do offer the help that is needed. It's just that it doesn't go beyond what a clinical psychologist, what a psychiatrist, what a doctor would be able to do.
Thank you for being able to answer for South Africans. I'm sure a lot of people have those questions that I'm asking right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I do believe that there's a story behind everyone. Even those people that we meet into by the street, the beggars, the nyaupe addicts, there is a story. I don't believe that anybody is born and then they don't have any goals. They just want to be street beggars or being addicts. It means that at some point in their life, they reached a breaking point, and because they didn't get into the required mental assistance, hence that ended up happening.
Yeah.
You see, that's why it's very, very much advisable not to judge people without knowing where they're coming from.
That's very true.
I think we can try to practice that, even though we are all not the same. You see, yeah, some are more judgmental than others.
That's true.
I try by all means to try to understand people. Hence, I said that I love psychology.
Yeah.
You see, before you judge a situation, just try to understand where the other person is coming from. But I'm glad that I have a specialist with me today.
I'm glad for you too.
Yeah. So since now is January and it's the start of the new year, and then people are setting up goals, and some might be even overwhelmed. What kind of advice can you give to especially young people when it comes to setting up their goals and for them to not be overwhelmed by them? Should they not be able to reach those goals?
So when it comes to setting up goals, one of the things that I usually share with young people, especially the ones that I see, it is to say, you have this dream that you want to get to, right? But what will help you to get there is the process of taking it a day at a time, breaking down your goals into small, achievable goals. As young people, we have this tendency of wanting to do it, like wanting to do something right now, right?
Yeah.
As big as it is, wanting to do it right now. But also it's because of how our lives are set up now. Like a lot of things are fast paced.
Yeah.
Everyone is moving fast. We're seeing so many changes that are, I think the pace is too much.
Yeah.
Okay? The pace is too much. So if you start breaking your goals into daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, you'll see that it removes this overwhelming aspect of it. All right? And it also gives a sense of, I did this.
Yeah.
All right? Because every week when you sit on Sunday and you evaluate what did I do this week going towards my, my dream, my goal, right? So I have studied. I went out and looked for a job if that is what you wanted to do. I created this X post because I can see that there's also a lot of the youth wanting to get into the social media, space. So I posted that video. I did this. I did that. Right. All of those things, they come into what you are trying to build. There are small blocks that are helping you go into what you want to build, the big part, right? So when you take it a day at a time, you will see how that is going to lessen the anxiety and that overwhelming feeling that we sometimes get when you are looking at this big goal. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a known social influencer, right? That's a big thing, right? And you want to achieve that by December versus when you say, what I can do today is read an article. What I can do today is post that video, no matter how it is. What I can do today is research for whatever topic I want to talk. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
Wow, that's very much important. Yeah, such a good advice.
Yeah.
So, and another thing that I've noticed as well, when it comes to setting up goals, which is a very good advice when it comes to young people, is that some people, they do end up setting up their goals. They'll be like, I'll do 1, 2, 3, da 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 da. And then they end up comparing themselves to other people, even though they do have their own goals. You see, they'll be like, okay, these are the goals that I've set up for myself. And then they look at one hour go next door.
Yeah.
The person has bought a new car. You see, and then they're like, okay, why am I unable to achieve this? Then they end up being too overwhelmed. And then now they start feeling unworthy because even though they have their own goals, which had nothing to do with the next person, because of comparison and what other people are saying, now they end up falling into this depression state because now they're comparing themselves with other people, even though their goals were not even correlated.
So the unfortunate thing is that there's always going to be that aspect of us wanting to compare ourselves from, with other people, right? Whether ke ngwana next door or ke a fellow friend, kapa it's a classmate, you name it.
Yeah.
The issue of comparison, one can, start looking at it from, this is my goal, this is my dream, and this is my journey, right? And because these things are my, right, you sort of like bring that, you sensitize yourself into saying, these are my goals, my dreams. They are not going to be the same as the other person. They're not going to be the same as those of Ngwana next door, right?
Yes.
And as difficult as it is for me to focus my energy into me, quite difficult, right? And not to say that this doesn't happen. It happens that you're going to look at someone else and try to compare yourself to them. But you always have to remind yourself, right? Remind yourself and ground yourself in saying, these are my goals, these are my dreams. My journey is not going to be the same,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I had a friend a very long time ago. When I was doing my undergrad, he was, I think he was also doing his undergrad and doing teaching, right, the B.Ed. And he once said something to me that was very, very inspirational, and I think I've held on to that. And he was talking about cars,
Yeah.
right? And he said the destination is maybe Johannesburg,
Yeah.
right? If Okasheba in the highway, you'll always see that there are a lot of different cars. There's a Lamborghini, there is a Mercedes-Benz, there's a Toyota, BMW, and there's a Tez,
Yeah.
right? The speed that a Tez is traveling on is never going to be the same as a BMW or as a VW, right? However, the destination is the same.
Wow.
So what you need to do, if you know how you're driving a Tez, and sometimes we're coming from Mahaye Asatwaning. There's other people whom don't have that kind of support that can easily push them into their success much quicker. Whereas there are those that are going to have so much support, it's easier for them to get there. Those are your Lamborghinis, your Mercedes, all of those things. Whereas when perhaps at home you are the one person who's trying to break these generational curses. And because of that, you are not going to have the kind of support that you may need, because they also they don't recognize sometimes the things that you are trying to do, right? So that analogy was just saying, focus and stick to your lane. Oskaya to the fast lane. Yeah, there's going to be those Range Rovers. If you've ever seen a Range Rover just driving closer to you like this, and it gives you so much anxiety, right? That you need to shift. And if you shift hampe or you change lanes hampe, what's going to happen? An accident, right? It is going to take you longer because of the kind of car that you're driving to get back on course, versus sticking to the yellow lane, driving up pace how even if it's 100, but you're still going to get there. Regardless of how long it takes you, you will get there.
It's more like defining your own idea of what success means,
Yes.
not what the next person's success means.
Yes.
Because otherwise you fall into the trap of comparison.
Yes. It's your own success.
Yeah.
It's your own journey. It's never going to be the same as the other person. And you need to recognize that. That's all you just need to do. You stay in your lane and you do what is possible to do on that particular day. That's all you do.
Okay, and then what advice would you give to someone who's feeling like they are a bit left behind? I know that you've already touched when it comes to goal setting and all that, but there are some people who are constantly feeling like that, especially to people who are unemployed, they're at home, and then they constantly feel depressed and being looked down upon, especially by family members or people in the community. How can you advise them to be more positive?
So for those that are having that feeling of being left behind, right? And unfortunately start getting those negative feelings, right? The unfortunate thing about life is that it will continuously require you to move. It may be difficult given the position that you may find yourself being in, but like I said with the analogy, you feeling like you're being left behind is relative. And by relative, I mean that someone else might move in a pace that is faster than yours, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you are moving slowly. It doesn't mean that, right? So what you then need to do is, like I said, you focus on your lane. You stick to your lane. It is difficult to do these things sometimes. Totally understand and I totally get it. But you can only do the little that you can on a daily basis. And you focus on those things that you can do, right? When you keep a score of what you need to do today. For instance, I remember when I started, because I once worked at a organization called the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, right? And at the time when I got there, I was fresh from varsity, right? And when you're fresh from varsity, you also had a friend who, and it's quite crazy, and let me give the story. It's quite crazy. I had a friend that I started varsity with, right?
Yeah.
We started together, and then because life showed me flames when I was doing my third year, I failed a module, right? And after failing that module, I wasn't able to go back the following year because I did not have funds, right? Whereas the friend I'm talking about, he went and did his honors, right? At the time when I then finished my undergrad, he was already, on his way of pursuing his master's, right? Outside the country, okay? So that feeling comes where you're like, am I doing enough, right? But you also have to look at what you are doing, right? And one of the things that I did is that I also had good support. A friend said to me, hey, friend, why not apply at this place and go volunteer? And that was a start of good things for me, because when I got there and I volunteered, it opened up doors that I ended up working there. And I'm not saying that your journey is going to be the same as my journey, but there's certain things that you need to do and follow your heart and follow your intuition, right? And not to say that it was not met by obstacles, but long story short, from that place, I ended up being able to do my honors. And then from there, I left for my master's. Right? And this is where relativity comes in. Because the friend, when he came back outside the country, he then still wanted to pursue his dream of being a clinical psychologist as well. And he applied for honors, right? And let me tell you that we then both went to start our masters at the very same time.
Wow.
He went to do his here in Gauteng. I went and did mine in PE. But it's all about that relativity, that if I stuck on that feeling of I'm being left behind, I was going to be left behind.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
But I kept on moving as steadily as I could move, because it took me an extra 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, before I could go and do my master's. But I just had a plan. I just had a project 2021 in my mind. All right. And that project 2021, it materialized. Why did it materialize? I kept on doing the little things that I could. And I met my friend at a point that we could both meet each other.
Yeah.
And this is where it comes in, to say that you still need to move even when it doesn't feel as though you want to move. You just still need to continue to move forward.
Oh, what an inspiring story and scenario. Instead of you feeling pity for yourself, you see, you were resilient enough to pursue what you wanted. Yeah.
And draw inspiration from
Yes.
these people. I think the other thing that we can do is, rather than to continuously overwhelm ourselves with feelings of, this one is better than me, I'm behind them, I'm this, I'm that, it is actually to draw inspiration. That's a positive way of looking at it, to say that as opposed to comparing myself to this person, why not learn
Yeah.
from this person? Why not draw inspiration from that person?
Because what I've noticed is that comparison, it breeds jealousy and envy.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I don't know why a lot of people don't look at someone whom they think is better in their own mind, instead of them being inspired and maybe even asking that person to be their mentor, they end up becoming jealous. Yes. Why is it like that? Is it human nature, or is just that feeling of having too much void and maybe not having enough self-compassion for ourselves that we end up resorting to hatred when it comes to things that we cannot attain or we believe that we cannot attain?
Quite difficult to say,
Eh.
because I think that people's perception and maybe things that make them go as far as being jealous, it's quite, personal and mostly, individual based. So I wouldn't know exactly why or say why this person could be like that. But all I can say is you just need a change of perspective.
Yeah.
Right? You just need a change of perspective. The more you drill into these, negative emotions, this jealousy, this envy, the only person who keeps on, you're only poisoning your own self. That's the only thing that you're doing, that you're only poisoning your own self, versus when we start drawing inspiration from these people and wanting to learn from them.
Yes, definitely. And what is the importance of self-kindness, self-compassion when things are not going as planned? Being kind to yourself, because a lot of us, we are so hard on ourselves.
That's true.
Eh?
Wow. This is what I usually say to my patients, especially when we're talking about kindness. I usually say to them, there's certain ways in which we treat other people that we really give the same treatment to ourselves.
Wow.
Right? And you are sharing or spreading kindness to those people. You forgive them.
Yes.
You give them grace.
Yes.
You speak kind words to them when they don't do well. Why not take that same energy and share it with yourself? Because it actually starts with you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we always hear these terms that it starts with you. And it definitely is that. When we start being compassionate to ourselves, when we start not holding ourselves prisoners because of feelings such as guilt, shame, right? When we start giving grace to ourselves, that's us being kind. That's us sharing kindness with ourselves. And the more that we do it with ourselves, it becomes easier to share the same thing with other people.
Yeah. I also want you to correct me. What can I say? If I say I've noticed or observed or also heard that the more a person is hard on themselves, the more a person doesn't have grace, then it becomes nearly impossible to extend what they do not have to the next person. Hence, a lot of people who are hard on themselves, who don't have grace, they end up maybe not treating other people in a manner that is acceptable. Or maybe when it comes to other instances, you find a person who's treating other people in a good way, in a kind way, but at the end of the day, they're not compassionate to themselves. Is it possible?
I think it's both ways, right? You're correct with your observation, with what you've seen.
Yeah.
But I've also seen the other side where someone is hard on themselves, but when it comes to other people, they are so nice, they are so kind, they are so forgiving, they are giving, but they never extend the same grace towards themselves, right? And this is where now we start looking at, our histories, like where we come from, how we were raised.
Yes.
You may find that some of these people, based on the way in which they were raised, the manifestation of the things that they experienced are then seen later on in life, where they either are people pleasers, where they sacrifice themselves, sacrifice their goals for other people, they put other people first, right? Because of how also they were raised. The environments that they come from have directly or indirectly influenced how now they treat themselves and how they also treat other people.
Wow. Wow, that's quite deep, hey?
Yeah.
And you just opened up my perspective. Yeah. So it means that it's very important when it comes to raising children who are healthy mentally. Because as we were talking before, while we were in the boardroom, you mentioned that a lot of people are on autopilot.
Yes.
You see, they are on survival mode. Hence, I ended up laughing, saying that it means that almost all of us, we need to see a therapist once or twice.
Yeah.
Or even more than that.
Yeah. Because it's true. A lot of us, we're on autopilot. We're on survival mode. Because again of how we were raised, because of our parents. One of the things that I usually share when I'm at the clinic and I'm hosting a group, and I say to them, we often take for granted how impactful teachers are in our lives. You, for the longest of time, probably 12 years of your time, spent at least 7 hours of your life at school. It's even worse when you're in primary school because you keep on seeing the same teacher for the whole entire year.
Yeah.
If that person was spewing or, sharing negative things with you, calling you names, saying there's something wrong with you, being unkind to you, can you imagine the amount of damage that does?
Wow.
Right? So then you start finding yourself or thinking of yourself as though there's something wrong with me. It's even worse when you also get feedback from other children from school, right?
And maybe like being bullied.
And we know how nasty some of these kids are in primary school because they don't have any filter. They'll call you the way they see you. Those kids don't care. They'll call you the way they see you, right?
Yeah.
And you take that in. You go home, it's the same feedback. Or the feedback started from home, then teacher, then kids, right? Then you carry yourself in a particular way. Can you now see that when you are reacting to some of these things, it's not necessarily that you are reacting towards this particular person, but it's actually some of these things that are being triggered, but that we don't understand them anymore, right? Meaning that you are mostly on survival mode. The decisions you are making, the friends you choose, you're choosing friends who probably are going to say nice things to you because you have this deep-seated need of being validated and being seen. So even when you choose some of the friends that you're choosing, you want those that are going to look at you as being this big person with a big personality who's nice, who's kind. So even when you do things for them, you're doing them so that you can keep them here so that they can give you this particular thing. All right? So that is what you are, reacting to as an individual, the relationships we go into, the spaces of work that we sometimes find ourselves in. Those decisions, some of them, I'm not saying all of them, some of them are based on our, on being on survival mode, basically.
Because even workplaces can also affect a person's mental health.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, it's quite a lot.
Yeah.
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 So I feel like we focus more on depression. Yeah. So I want to get to anxiety. Like in moments of anxiety or emotional pain, what quick practical method can a person do to calm their minds?
Okay. So when it comes to anxiety, one thing that we also must understand is that anxiety is worrying about worrying. You're just constantly being stuck on that feeling of the future.
Yeah.
Right? What's going to happen? Right? Some of the anxiety is rooted in control. You want to control some of these things that you don't necessarily have control over. Right? So sensitize yourself in understanding what I have control over and what I don't. Okay? So you don't have control over the weather. Right? I think when we got in here, it was a bit cloudy.
Yes.
There's a possibility that when we're done when we're done here, that it's going to be sunny, or there's going to be it's going to be raining, whatever the case may be. I don't have control over that.
Yeah.
I don't have control over how people think about me.
Yes.
All right, I don't have control over the reactions of other people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, all these things, if especially it's rooted in control, is you understanding that I can only control me, my thoughts, my reactions, my perception, how I relate to people. That's what I have control over. Right. So it's a control thing. What do I have control over, and what do I don't? And accepting that some of the things that I don't have control over, it's okay, right? Maybe perhaps today I don't have control over those things, but tomorrow may change. Secondly, grounding techniques. So when we talk around grounding techniques, we're looking at things that are going to bring you to the here and the now. Remember, when I said, anxiety is rooted around worrying about what is to happen, right? Or avoiding something that happened in the past in the future. Right? And when we are doing that, we lose track of what's happening here right now. So grounding techniques could be you just taking off your shoes and walking barefoot.
And being present.
And being present.
Worshiping for some of us who are Christians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just being here in this moment, all right, with the people that you are with, right? If it's too extreme and you find it quite difficult, especially when, the anxiety just keeps on attacking you, all right? Going around, and I always say that some of our techniques, they will make you seem as though there's something wrong with you. Hey, it's fine, right? But you can walk around touching things and calling them, this is a camera, this is a water bottle, this is a table, this is that. You go around doing that, right? Because what you're doing is that you're sensitizing yourself, and also you're using your senses, right, to name all these things. You're touching them, right? So your brain, what it will do then, it will reset itself and come back here. The other one is pinching yourself. When yes.
And how do I
is it like
myself?
just
like this?
Yeah, just pinching yourself, right? Just pinching yourself. When we are anxious, our brains, right, go on the survival mode, right? We want to deal with whatever it is that is stressing us, whether we're going to run away, whether we are going to fight, or whether we're going to freeze, right? So there are going to be hormones that are released in your system, right? And once those hormones are released, the brain just says, we need to survive. So you need to bring it back, right? By pinching yourself. It helps as well, right? And breathing, by the way. You can breathe. Breathing is life. So
Let's breathe, guys.
So you have to breathe as well, right? Why is that? I don't know if you've ever been chased by a dog in your life.
I have several times.
Right?
Yeah,
So
and I spent most of my life being afraid of dogs.
Yes.
But now that has changed. Now I can't wait to get a little doggy, a little puppy. Yeah, but for most of my life, I was afraid of dogs because the ones chased me. They even once bitten me.
Bitten you.
Yeah.
So now take that, right? I'm sure as you were running away from the dog, your breathing had changed. You were breathing much faster, right? And I don't know if you still remember what you did after running away from the dog, especially the one that did not bite you, if you ran away. What was the first thing that you did?
You mean when into...
After you saw that you've averted the danger?
Then I breathed, I was like...
Yes.
Thank the Lord I survived.
Yes.
Yeah.
You took a deep breath, right? You were unconsciously telling your brain that we are safe.
Wow.
That's what you were doing. You were telling your brain, right, and your nervous system that we're safe. So when you're doing that, it tells you that there's so much power that breathing can do for us, especially also in our systems. So when you find yourself having an anxiety attack, you need to breathe, right? You need to breathe slowly, right? And keep on saying to yourself, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. And yes, you are safe. And you need to sensitize your nervous system to that.
Yeah, especially now in a fast-paced world where everything is just so fast. It's very difficult to be at ease, to be like physically present. A lot
True.
of people, as you are saying, as you said, they are running on autopilot.
True.
Hence, they end up having issues like anxiety,
True.
even childhood traumas, those
True.
things. Yeah.
Yes. So you need to bring yourself to that. You just have to say, I'm safe.
Yeah, so let's move on to another one. So why is it so important for young people to talk about how they're feeling? Because I've noticed that there are a lot of people, especially when it comes to men, they don't open up.
Yeah.
So what is the importance of vulnerability, of actually opening up about how you're feeling, instead of feeling like people will judge you, but releasing the pain or however you are feeling, so that it doesn't have a hold on you?
Here's why it is important for you to talk and not to keep things in. You're helping yourself to process things, all right? You're helping yourself to look at them not only from your perspective, but from someone else's perspective, especially when we're talking to people that we feel safe whenever we're talking to them. But it's basically you being able to process, all right? If you've ever had such a feeling where something happens, right, and after it has happened, you sit down with someone and you talk to them, right? And they bring perspective to you. And then you start saying either, oh no, actually what happened to me, I took it much lightly than it actually was. It's processing. Or I think I might have overreacted.
Yeah.
It's processing,
Yes.
right? Because now you are engaging in a process of where you are talking about what has happened, and you are also looking at how it has impacted you and how you are feeling because of what has happened to you. You're processing. So that's why it's so important for you to do that. And whilst we are processing, it is easier for us to let go of whatever it is that has happened and allow a new experience, which rarely happens if you're not processing.
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much for this informative information. Hey, I wish we had more time, but unfortunately, time is not in our favor. Yeah. Hopefully you'll come back next time so that we can dive deeper into this, because I love psychology.
Yeah.
I love into mental health.
Yeah.
You see, I love compassion and how people actually feel. You see, especially when it comes to young people, because I
Yeah.
can see that they're going through a lot nowadays.
True.
So that's something that we have to put more focus on.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Thank you so much for being with us. It was such an honor to have you with us. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time, but I would like to have you come to our show again next time. Definitely, there's a lot to dive on.
True.
Especially when it comes to mental health. Yes. So before I could wrap up, can you please let our people know where they can get hold of you in terms of social media platforms, telephonically, whichever way is possible?
Okay. So let me start with the clinic. One of the things that people can do is they can search SovelStream. They do have a website. Beautiful website. You're going to see the scenery.
Yes, I saw it. Yo,
right?
It's posh.
Yeah, very, very posh.
Whoever has developed it, high five to that person.
It's a very, very nice place to be at, and that's where they can come. Like I said, if you want to be admitted, you just have to have a referral letter. Once you have a referral letter from your designated healthcare practitioner, then they can come in and drop the letter, and then the clinic will then take care of those things, right? And then in terms of me, in terms of social media, I have an account called The Psychologist Corner, where I do share a lot of, psychoeducation. Most of the things that we've been talking about are some of the things that I share on that account, and that's where you can engage mostly with me.
Okay, so are you also on TikTok?
It's a TikTok. Sorry,
Oh,
it's a TikTok account.
TikTok is a new thing this days. If you're not on TikTok, are you even alive? Are you even existing?
Yeah, it's a TikTok account. It's a TikTok account. I share a lot, and those who probably have more questions, they can ask there.
Okay, and what about telephonically?
So telephonically, my business number is
if you're comfortable. You
No,
can
it's
say,
fine. For
yeah.
those that do want to get a hold of me, it's 066 221 8998. So yeah, they can get me there.
All right. I hope you've noted it down. And thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Vuk Talks. Ubakhanne mkolo wa makhuba.
Brought to you by the GCIS.